Alright, episode
14.
Welcome to Workout Master. This guy right next to me is Ruben.
And this other guy next to me is Aram.
We're going to continue talking about exercise.
Yes.
And what we wanted to address today is we have a lot of beginners that never use the exercise.
Right.
And I find it is a problem when people walk in the gym and then they sign up in the gym.
Right.
They walk in and they truly don't know where to start.
Right.
What do you do?
Well, they typically see three options. They can take classes for stretching or some type of mobility like that.
Mm-hmm.
They can do cardiovascular classes,
Mm-hmm.
or they can do weight training.
Okay.
So let's pretty much
Let's talk about all three.
look at it from that perspective. They do stretching, they do strengthening, and they do cardio.
Big three.
Big three.
We call them big three. Alright, so stretching. Why stretching is important? I cannot overemphasize this.
Tell them why stretching is important.
I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you. Dear listeners, you want to have a beautiful posture. You want to have a very flexible body. And it is absolutely necessary to stretch if you are tight. Now, on the other hand, if you're hyper-flexible, if you're a ballerina, or you're an ex-gymnast that already can bend in pretzels, stop stretching, please, because you can actually create a hyper-flexible joints, which could lead you to an injury, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So it is a balance within the flexibility.
No doubt.
To stretch or not to stretch?
That is the question.
That's so deep. That's so deep. Okay, so flexibility is important. Make sure you stretch. Stretching before workout, I think, is extremely beneficial because if you stretch the muscles that are already tight,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to get your body to a position of better posture.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in a position of better posture, you'll be able to exercise and make that better posture the strongest point. And the way your brain operates is it always operates out of position of strong posture.
Yes. And to let know our viewers what posture is by definition is the position from which movement begins and ends with the least amount of resistance.
Exactly. So it's not that when you sit you cannot slouch.
Of course you can.
Yeah, of course you can, but you should have an ability to get back in a good position with no problem at all.
And remain in that position if you choose to.
If you choose to. So if you're just sitting like that the whole time and you're just sweating and just keep trying it,
and your back is cramping,
and your back is cramping, that's not necessarily a good posture.
No,
nor are you supposed to be there all the time.
It's a hell of a workout.
It's a workout. Which probably can lead you to a good posture anyway. Okay, talk about exercise.
Strength training.
Strength training.
Alright. Strength training is key. And just like Aram said before, so is flexibility. So we have to do both, and both they should be done in conjunction in the measure that is needed for you. The muscles that are weak should be strengthened. And the muscles that are strong, not that they have to be put on hold, but they should not be given the same priority as the muscles that are weak. And what would this lead to? Simple. Balance. That's what it's all about. The flexors and the extensors, you know, the doctors and AD doc, they all have to have balance. You always want to be or remain as close as you can to the center. And that will bring about better movement. You will feel better. What else? There's a lot else. But you tell me I get too complicated. And then you start ragging on me. So, within the strength program, obviously we need stability. Alright? I mean, first of all, we need flexibility, which is the stretching component.
Okay.
Then we're going to need stability, which is, you know, creating strength, muscle, and postural, strength and muscles that create postural function, that keep our body upright, that maintain the joints moving in a good position so they don't get worn out, they don't get sheared, and they don't get damaged. Then we can develop strength to really work, let's say, on the outer shell. Once the inner workings of the body as far as structure and balance, they're actually strong. Then we can work on strengthening the outer shell per se.
So it's important to build a foundation.
Of course.
For weight training, foundation is the key. You cannot build, well, you can build a big house
Yes.
without foundation,
Right.
but the first wind gonna make this house crumble.
Right, or it's like saying you're gonna build, you know, X amount of floor high building, and you're gonna put very weak and unstable columns. Well, all you need is a nice storm, and then you'll see that will go to the ground.
So good posture and good foundation is extremely important to success.
Yes, it is.
So when you start with the weight training, try to look into how you can create a better foundation.
That is correct.
Okay? Now for the ladies, specifically for ladies,
Yes.
you're generally not going to get big by doing the weight training.
No,
To get bigger, it's almost physically impossible for majority of females. You need to have a testosterone, which is a male hormone, to get bigger.
Right, and typically women have what percentage of a male testosterone?
I don't know.
10% on the average.
Okay.
Thank God that they only have 10%, because otherwise they will kill us. And we will have to laugh at them when they're actually shaving their face twice a day.
Now there's some girls that tend to get bigger, and you already know if you are. So if you tend to get bigger,
Yes.
just don't push that heavy weights. Don't stay in that repetition range. Go in a higher repetition.
Absolutely. It's literally impossible, and this is scientifically proven, that there's going to be certain ranges or reps and sets that if you work within, you will not be able to put muscle, because they're not muscle growth inducing energy systems. When you do very few repetitions with a high intensity, and high intensity means the percentage of your 1 rep max. I don't know if that's already too complicated. Or if you work with very high repetitions, you cannot put on muscle. It's physically impossible. You have to work within certain parameters that the body will feel enough challenge, or the muscle and hypertrophy, muscle cell volumization gets promoted. If you work with very little repetitions and high weight, you'll get very strong, and it's almost impossible to put on muscle size. Because by that means, you know, power lifters and Olympic weightlifters will be the biggest people in the world, and therefore they're not, because they have weight classifications. When they do a lot of repetitions, right, you will put on muscle too, by definition, according to what people are saying. Mm-hmm. And that is not the case, because they will have marathoners with, you know, 50-inch thighs, which is not the case. They typically are thin people. So you have to work within that rep range that will add muscle. And females, they don't have the testosterone. What quite often times happens, because I've done that experiment, because somebody told me how to do it, is that you can actually, before you start training them, before the training series begins, you take measurements with a tape. You know, you get one of those Taylor or Street, you know, measuring tapes, and you measure your waist, your thighs, your trunk, your butt, your neck, your arms, your forearms, your calves, whatever you want, and keep track of it. And start your weight training routine. What's going to happen most likely is that once you start working with weights, the muscles, they're going to get pumped. And that pump tends to, you know, volumize the leg, the arm, whatever part you're actually training. And it might seem like the muscle is getting bigger, but it's not, because once the blood flow returns to normal and everything goes back to homeostatic basis, it will actually reduce in size. Or they start getting slightly leaner, and this is quite often, many times, and they start seeing the muscles. And
so ultimately, the first reaction they might get is just the blood rushes to the muscle, so it seems like the muscle is bigger, but it's not. Because
it's not.
That's what bodybuilders use a lot of times before competition. They pump themselves up. Yes. So they can actually see more muscles.
Right.
So exercise is anabolic. We talked about it already before. Yes. Weight training is anabolic, and the importance of weight training and incorporating weight training into your program, because it creates more of an anabolic response to your body.
Wow.
Yeah. So for the people that come into the gym and they do a lot of cardio, nothing but the cardio, it's very important to start doing some sort of weight training, I think.
Absolutely. Even marathon runners or ultra marathoners, let's look at the most extreme of all endurance athletes, what could be like long track, you know, cross country or ultra marathoners. I know people that run 100 kilometers and they do 50-mile runs and stuff like that, which is beyond me how they can do this. I wouldn't do it even if...
Pretty incredible.
If they pay me by the mile, I wouldn't even be able to do that. And
I can fly it.
yeah, I can do it in my motorcycle. But the thing is that, you know, even these people that all their basis of training is about endurance, they still need a lot of strength training, sorry, I mispronounced that, so they can actually maintain good posture. The better posture they maintain, guess what? The less energy they're actually utilizing to keep their body upright. So they can put that energy to work into the legs and to the respiratory system so they can run or perform better, or ski, or whatever they're doing.
So it makes them a whole lot more efficient.
Absolutely. Like I said before, posture is the position from which movement begins and ends with the least amount of effort. So when you have bad posture, you're already at a loss per se, because you already have muscles that are too tight, muscles that are too loose, creates an imbalance. And like, how would I put this in a context that's easy to understand? Let's say that you want to reduce, for example, your energy bill every month, because you're paying $200 a month on your electric bill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, the first thing you're going to do is make sure that you're not wasting too much AC or lowering, you know, while you're not home. Do certain things like that. Or not leaving a lot of things plugged in that shouldn't be plugged in, that they might be drawing energy all the time. So if you want to, obviously, if you want to diminish your energy bill, which it could be electrical or your body,
mm-hmm.
you have to turn off what's already turned on that shouldn't be on unless you call it to be active.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have muscles that are tight, they're constantly drawing energy away from your body. Such if you will leave the blender, the washing machine, and the lights in all the lights in your house on. Well, guess what? You know, at the end of next month, they're gonna hit you with a bill that's not gonna be $200. It's gonna be $350 because you wasted a ton of energy.
So it's kind of like a concept of green fitness.
Whatever.
Green fitness. Green
This
fitness.
is what I gotta deal with every day, guys. Green fitness. Yes, you have a point. Absolutely. It's about
Eco fitness.
It's a way to minimize the carbon print. Yes.
Exactly.
In your body.
In your body. Because ultimately, if you have a carbon print in your body, your muscle is going to be tight, and you have to spend a lot of time stretching.
Yes. Among other things.
Alright, cardio. We talked about cardio. Check out our previous episode about cardio. And we kind of teared it apart as much as we could.
But we have to make the distinction.
Distinction for sure.
That, you know, that if you're an athlete that requires, you know, that you have some type of cardio output, then you have to train for that. And I have nothing against it. If you're a marathon runner, I love to see you run. As a matter of fact, I might chase you, so you run a little bit more.
Absolutely. So if you're in a cardio sport, for sure cardio. If you worry about your heart and you want your heart to get stronger, also use cardio because it's a muscle and ultimately it can be trained. Just don't abuse cardio as we talked about in previous. Yeah. Right. Just use interval training, or you can use circuit weight training. For me personally, as a coach, I like my clients to do all three during the session just to kind of balance it out. For some people, I use more of those ones, more of weight training or more flexibility or more cardio, depending on their needs. But ultimately, I want to see all three.
Yeah, I have nothing against it, absolutely.
So I would say don't discriminate against any of them. Right. Use it for your advantage. They are there for you.
Yeah. Just don't use cardiovascular exercise as a mean of getting leaner and losing body fat and all the other, because it's not. It's a dead-end road.
Don't go in extreme. So don't lift too heavy weights that you cannot lift because you're a big guy and you have an ego. And don't bend in pretzels if you love yoga and you already can bend in pretzels. Does it make sense?
To you it does, I guess.
I hope it does to you too, guys. Do you have anything else?
I think that's it for now.
Thank you very much, guys. And until next time.
Thank you.